Section 2. Setting up a microservices environment. What we will learn in this section. In this section, we will learn about ways to set up our microservices environment and create the foundation of a microservices development platform. We will look at the Git repos and solution organization in Visual Studio Code. We will look at Node.js and Express code structure and expand upon what we've already started to build. We'll look at how we can use MongoDB to connect into a data layer. And we'll show you a little bit about React. Setting up a microservices environment. As you recall, microservices are loosely coupled and therefore can run on their own process. They can be written in any stack, but for this class, we're going to use the MERN stack. The MERN stack is made up of MongoDB, Express, React, and Node.js. This is very similar to the mean stack, except that we're exchanging Angular for React. Organization of code, Git repos, and VS Code. In this video, we will learn a couple of ways to organize microservices in Git repositories, looking at mono versus multi-repo patterns. And we will be using Visual Studio Code, a free and open source code editor that can run on any platform. It's actually based upon a Node.js framework. Multi-repo and mono-repo. So should we put each microservice into its own repository, or have one repository in which we put all of our microservices? The multiple repository approach tends to be more favored for an enterprise-grade, multi-team DevOps pattern because it's easier to automate for deployment that way. It allows for it to be containerized more easily. So that's the benefit that you get from it. Mono repos are great for smaller teams when the chance of merge conflict is lower and when there's a higher degree of integration between the services. It allows you to share code between your microservices much easier. For the purposes of this class, I chose to go with mono repo so that I could put all the microservices in one easy to download place for everyone. However, for production, I would highly recommend using a repository for each microservice. Here you can see I've created a subfolder in the repository for all the microservices that we will make, and we'll expand upon each one, and I'll show you some more code here in just a moment. For this project, we're going to use Visual Studio Code, a free and open source editor made by Microsoft. It runs in Windows, Linux, or Mac OS. It has Git repo management on board, native debugging, syntax highlighting, and plugins, all kinds of great stuff. It supports numerous languages, and people can, since it's open source, they can add support for any language, including Node.js, C#, Java, Python, Ruby. It is based on a GUI framework called Electron that is now developed by GitHub, and it was written with a Node.js backend. So here's the reporting microservice that we looked at in the previous videos, and you can see where I have each one, and it'll be mostly organized in roughly the same way with models and the app.js. I'll have some example code in there that is being used for the presentations, as well as all the other required items in order for that microservice to work, that they're all in one Git repository, and then also they can be organized in one solution in this case. That's the mono repo way. And so if I wanted to, I could share code among them. I'm not going to do that for the sake of example in this project so that we could show how to make a true microservice. Over here you can see we have our routes from the previous examples and our server being set up just on a very basic level. So now we have a framework to go with.